Jesse Modz with iHeartRadio here with Chris Daughtry of Daughtry. Shock to the System Part 2 is out now. Chris, thanks for joining us, man.
Hey man, thanks for having me. Good to see you. The label just they offered the idea of like, hey, what if we break this up into two parts? And so long story short, we finished the first part and then we go out on tour and then it takes even longer. And then we dive in, after the tour is over and start working on part two. And some of these were songs that were kind of in infancy, so to speak, from the first part, but didn't really turn into anything. Antidote was had been started before part one, and this song called Terrified that was a lyrical idea only. Really, it existed on a different track that ended up getting scrapped, and we have what it became. And the bottom was like three different songs before it became what it is. So, we kind of went into this. I think "The Day I Die" was like the first song that was like started fresh. When that really set the tone for what part two was going to be. And I think the common thread through both is dealing with, mental health, dealing with loss and darkness, and um, I think the intro, or we call it the seeds, which is the start of part two, is kind of like the intermission between part one and part two. It's like the dam ends part one, and that was dark and heavy, and now everybody, it's like a palate cleanser. Like take a breath, and then we bring everybody up with Divided. It's a more hopeful anthemic song.
It's interesting to hear you say that the bottom could have went a couple different directions for you because listening to that song and off this EP, and that song really felt. I know people can interpret songs however they want, but that song really felt like maybe you were speaking to people dealing with addiction and being at the bottom of their addiction and all the stuff that comes with that and comes out the other side. Like, first of all, like, am I right in thinking that? And where was that song going if that's not exactly how you wanted it at the beginning?
No, it can certainly be looked at that way. But for me, it was like, feeling like I wasn't fully myself. I wasn't. It was this journey to get to where I am now, to finding my own identity again, and all these twists and turns along the way that brought me here. Is as much as it's about me kind of resurrecting, from the dead, so to speak. Um, this song took on so many different, iterations before it became what it is, and we resurrected that into becoming the bottom. Um, so even the process of writing this song was this kind of the song trying to find its own identity through different iterations and becoming what it is now. But yeah, I think everyone can relate to it in a different way, and whatever that thing is that's keeping them from being, the person they want to be, or the person that they feel like they should be. Whether it's addiction, whether it's life choices, whether it's and for me it was I took a lot of different turns in my career, and looking back, they didn't feel like the right ones, but at the same time, they all brought me to this place I am now.
And I saw you say about this new EP, "Shock to the System Part 2," that it unlocked something real and honest in you as you were writing it. And I thought, that's an interesting thing to say for a guy who's had such a long career and a great career as you have. What do you think it was about this writing process that unlocked that stuff in you compared to writing all the stuff you have prior?
Well, I think life kind of broke me open, dealing with the loss of my daughter and my mom back to back. It just kind of, I think, kind of, I was a bit of a kind of an open wound for a while, and I think I got really introspective and started looking at things that maybe I hadn't been dealing with, that it kind of brought up within me. I think that's as simple as that. Life kind of made me vulnerable, and I felt like those things had to be talked about, and the only way I could get it out was through the music, and so it was a very cathartic process. It was a lot of reflection, a lot of deep diving, and trying to be honest with myself and not being afraid to say some of the things that might be scary, like I keep dreaming of the day I die, like that's a on the surface someone would see that as like, oh, is he okay? Is he suicidal? But I think we all have days where we feel like, man, I just want to take a nap and not have to deal with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe not wake up. And so, yeah, I think it was just about that and just being honest and hoping that people can listen to this and find their own story and maybe it relates to their own pain in some way that they can find comfort in it.
Yeah, I think that's a great transition to this next question I had for you, because you are a dude, man, that and clearly based on this EP and the one before that, and basically your career, you're always talking about real life issues and struggles and things that you're dealing with, and maybe your fans are dealing with, and it must be hard to not only get in the mind frame to write those songs, but then to go out on the road and sing them night after night after night and channel that
Hmm.
space. What do you do to try to stay positive when you're not writing those songs, you're not singing those songs? Do you do anything outside of music to make sure that you keep your head on straight?
Oh yeah, I'm in the gym all the time, man. That's become quite my addiction. And I don't I gave up drinking a long time ago, and so I try to do as much physical activity as possible. I think it's good for my mind, but I also love just going to the movies by myself and and just binging on popcorn and peanut M&Ms, so yeah, I on tour I tend to get a chance to do that a lot more. um, and that's a nice little respite for me. But as far as like channeling those songs, I think once they're out and I've lived with them for so long before anyone gets to hear them. Sometimes they even take on different meaning for myself, but even at that point, it belongs to everyone else, and I try to just be the vessel and let the song, you know uh, flow through me and try to be in the moment. It's hard to try to get in that mindset again. That feels like it would be forcing it. I think at that point, it just feels good to be able to perform it.
Side note, two movies I saw in theaters last week, phenomenal. The Long Walk just came out, that Stephen King
Oh yeah,
adaptation.
Stephen King movie. Yeah,
Oh, it's so good. And then Weapons, that horror movie.
I saw Weapons. I loved it. That
Yeah,
was the
pretty
last
cool.
one. That was the last one I saw. I was actually in Calgary. We played a show in Calgary, and I took myself to the theater to see it.
Oh, that's awesome, man. It's funny when we talk about your career now, and obviously Shock to the System Part Two is out now. And if you look at your career, people have seen you from the very beginning in your American Idol days to now, and all the great stuff you're doing. When you look back on your days on television to where you are now, what are you most proud of?
I think getting to this point in my career where I feel 100% clear with my vision and direction. That and having all those accolades early on in the career is all fine and good, but when we've got the number one with Artificial and then Pieces, it was so much more meaningful because it was on my own terms and it was me following my instincts and my gut and knowing that this is going to be a huge departure from what people have seen or heard from us in the past, but I feel so strongly about it that we have to do it. I'm not going to worry about what people think. That was, validation that to trust my gut more.
Yeah, it's been awesome, man, to watch your career and just like you've never stopped, you've never quit. You just keep putting out great music that
Thank you.
obviously your fans love. I just had one more question for you, and I've kind of been asking a couple of rock artists this over the last little while, because I think it's so interesting in how we're all living our life, and that is with artificial intelligence and how you can make AI turn anything into like a banger song. And we've heard these stats from Spotify that some of these songs are going number one, and people don't even realize that it's just a computer and there's no human behind that. But also, AI can be used to help with your music and help in a writer's block or something like that. First of all, like how do you feel about AI and music right now? And do you think you'd ever be open to using it? Help complete a song or finish up a riff or something like that?
I haven't, but I do see I see that much like synthesizers and other equipment and plugins and or a tool um, I think can be used to help create or be a part of the creation. Do I think it's gonna you know, take the place of humans and what we're able to tap into emotionally. No, I do not. I hope not, because if so, we're all out of a job.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag. You know, I don't have one strong stance or another on it. I personally haven't used it to write lyrics or finish a song, but you know, I can see the temptation of going down that road, especially if you're, you know, if you're feeling stuck and not, uh, you know, maybe you're, you know, banging your head against the wall to try to get a lyric. But for me, whenever that happens, I just go take a walk, and it eventually comes to me. And I personally feel more proud if it's something that I came up with, even if it took extra time or whatever, than if I, you know, had a computer generate it for me. I feel like, you know, I feel like that kind of steals some of the soul from it. I don't know.
Well, you can tell, man, in your writing and hearing the new songs, especially off Shock to the System Part 2, that it came from your heart. And we really appreciate you taking some time.
Thank you.
Shout with us, man. Best of luck with the record and have fun on the tour coming up here.
Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate you, man.